Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today we have author Stella Ajaku on the channel today. How are you?
Hi, Queenie. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm blessed. Okay, tell us about yourself.
Okay, I'm Stella Ajanaku. I am an author of flirty and thirsty romance novels. But before that, I'm a mom of two children. They're grown-ups now, and I've been married to my best friend and my own real-life gorgeous hero for 20 years in December, by God's grace. And we live in London, UK. And I love to write romance novels. I have a passion for writing romance novels. So that's what I do. And I've been writing for a while now.
All right. What do you do when you're not writing?
I like to watch a lot of US TV series. That's the funniest thing. I have lots and lots of it lined up. I enjoy them so much. And then I go to church with my family. Then I go to cinema to watch movies when they just come out, the ones we really like. And I like to swim, even though I haven't got around to doing that for a while now. And I read books as well. So,
And what is your genre that you read?
I stick to romance and I stick to contemporary romance novels, really.
How did you choose the genre that you're writing in?
Okay. When I was young, when I was a teenager, I read a lot of romance novels, lots and lots and lots. And I used to swap with my friends, so when they read, because we can't afford to buy, so many. So that's how we got around to reading. So that was where I first got exposed to reading contemporary romance novels and a bit of historical romance novels. And then as I grew up, I started to read others, like thrillers, the ones with detectives and all that. But I think after a while, I got a bit sick to my stomach when the characters the characters I have developed like an emotional connection with when they die or something really awful happens to them. And it's not always happily ever after. So eventually, I just saw myself going back to romance novels, contemporary romance novels, for that feel-good factor, that escapism, just I wanted that assurance that it will always end well. The characters I love will always have a happy ending. So that's it. And so for the past decade or more, I've just stuck with, romance novels. I know for sure that it's going to end well. So really, that's the job. And I really do love romance. So nothing beats it.
All right. Do you have your books available right now with you so you could talk about your books?
Oh yes, oh yes. My novels on my book. I have all of them. I have the most recent ones, not the one that just came out a few days ago, the Christmas romance. My order for that hasn't arrived yet, but I have the previous ones before that, like Tempted by the Princess. I have that. I have Hooked by One Curvy Girl. So I have this is Tempted by the Princess, book one.
Okay.
So book 1 and 2. And so that's about a princess who isn't satisfied with her life. She's a Black woman who isn't 100% satisfied with her life within the walls of the castle. So she has everything that everyone can say she has everything. She's a princess, she's an only child and all that. But she wants a life just like an ordinary person. Most people might not be able to understand that, but she feels trapped, especially because she's been betrothed to a man who she's not in love with. The truth is, she didn't even think love existed. So that's the plot of the story. It's a woman who didn't think love existed, and then eventually got exposed because she went to America to study law in the university, and then she met someone, and then she felt, a different connection than what she had back home, but it didn't work out. So she went back to her castle, and then she now understood why her father protects her. She has no mom. So against all the evils, everything that can go wrong in a normal relationship went wrong for her. So, but in her castle, she eventually meets an American tourist who changes everything for her, turns her world upside down, her heart upside down. And she has to go through a father who has an iron will, who holds up the tradition, who says you have to do it this way. There's a man I want you to marry, and that's it. So here she is, torn between two worlds, and she has to make her way through it to say, look, I want what I want. I'm tired of the royal protocols. I'm tired of being told what to do. So that's the wrestling going on in the book till the end, where she gets her happy ever after.
Okay. You want to talk about any of your other books?
Yes. Okay. I also have Hooked by One Covey Girl. This one is book 1 and 2. Is a 2-book series, just like Tempted by the Princess 1 and 2. This one also is a Black woman. This one takes place in Nigeria, which is my birth country.
Okay.
And it's about this big Covey girl. She's a Nollywood actress. And she finds herself in a situation due to tragedy in her family when she was younger. She finds herself in a very precarious situation where she had to compromise in various ways to make ends meet and to take care of her younger ones and all that. So she lives a lifestyle. It's about a woman who lives a very fast lifestyle, but she's happy, or she thinks she's happy, right? And she has everything money can buy. Then comes this visitor from the US again, and she meets him. She's pushed by her best friend to find a +1 for her, because her best friend got married. And so the parents are organizing a wedding party for her. And her best friend told her that, look, find someone, but he can't be married because she only dated married men. And so she just found a stranger and decided to ask him to be her +1. And then the book just takes off from there because it's much more than she expected. So she's supposed to pay this guy to just attend one event and that's it. But they clicked, they had chemistry, they had connection, and he wouldn't let her go. So that's what the book is about. So now she has to put that side by side with her lifestyle because, and he doesn't judge her and all of that. So it's a really lovely story as well. So it's full of drama and a lot of deep issues come to light in all my books. There's always something that the reader can take away and say, oh, okay. So it's all about raising awareness about different issues, but all woven into romance, and with strong characters, both male and female, sexy, funny. When you read my books, you're sure to get lots and lots of humor, a lot of funny banter, a lot of tension, and, and all that. So everything that romance is known for, really.
All right. Where do you get your ideas from?
Inspiration, really. Most of it, I go to sleep and I wake up and I have all this dialogue going on in my head, even the plots, the storyline itself. It's strange, but that's the truth. So I wake up and I've just had clear vision of a story. I have their dialogue just weaving in my head. And when I wake up, I just bring my laptop and I start typing. So sometimes I don't even have like a chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. I just bash it all out. And then I come back sometimes to start outlining it. So it's pure inspiration. But I remember one of my books, Forbidden Dance, for example. I was sitting in my bedroom, and I looked out of the window, and I saw across the road, I saw this man. I saw a man in bathrobe coming out, and then I saw this other lady. She looked so angry. She just stormed out of the room, out of the house, and entered her car and just drove off. So for Forbidden Dance, that's exactly how that story started. You know, not 100%, but just looking at that scene just brought a story on. So sometimes it can happen like that. I might just see a scene and get an idea for a story, or I might be asleep and get an idea for a story, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Husband to Rent, for example. Husband to Rent, for example, I got that idea when I was commuting in London buses. And I used to look at faces of people, and then you see some women, they look so sad and miserable and all that. And I got an idea to write about, you know, somebody who needed a husband to like impress or to pass off to her family. So I got the idea from that. So it depends.
Oh, okay. Is there any author that influenced you in any way growing up or as an adult?
Is that what? Repeat.
Is there any author that influenced you in any way growing up or as an adult?
Not really. What happens is I'm a strange person. So I see like other authors, like when they write about all the books they've read and the names of the authors and everything. It's hard for me. I don't know what's going on with my brain, but it's hard for me to remember the authors of the book I read, even if I love and enjoy the book so much. I read, all I want to do is connect with the characters, love the story, get into it. I don't care who wrote it. I will not even remember tomorrow. You know, I might not remember the title, but I will remember like the stories and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. I get so soaked in. It's like, it's my life, you know. So I really don't remember. But I know I remember Chicky Brown. Now I don't remember the title of her book, but I remember I read one of her books. The one about the therapist and someone falling in love with the therapist. Now I don't remember the title, but I remember her because I'm in touch with her all the time. I really, really love that book, and I told her I did, you know. But now if you ask me the title, I don't remember the title. But thankfully I remember it because I remember her name because I interact with her all the time on Facebook. That's the only reason I remember her name. So I do have lots. There were a lot of white authors when I was growing up because we didn't really have black authors. I didn't have books with written by black authors when I was growing up at all. I read a lot of Mills and Bones and all that. So yes, I do remember maybe Karomotima, I don't know, and all that. But when I grew up, and you know, in the past decade or so, we now have a lot of black authors writing. So there are lots of their books I've read. I've read from Stacey Dean. I've read from Chicky Brown. I've read from Cozy Parks. I've read quite a number, Kiru Taye. I've read quite a number of black authors now, Amaka Azie and all that. So, but I just read to get into the story, love the characters, and that's it.
Okay. What has been your greatest accomplishment as an author?
Getting hooked by one curvy girl. When I saw the bestseller tag from Amazon on it, I think that day I felt like I had won a prize, Pulitzer Prize for literature or something, you know, because all my books, I put in a lot of passion, a lot of sweat and everything, prayers and all that. But when in the last 6 books, apart from this last one, has gotten the new release status, that alone, I'm so happy because it means there's so many people around the world who buy my books, enjoy it, and I don't even know them. So that makes me really, really happy. But when I saw bestseller for over 2 weeks on this book, it was the happiest. And I think that's my greatest, achievement to date. I didn't look for it. It just dropped on my lap, and it was my happiest moment, happiest day ever. I didn't pay for it, nothing, you know. It was great. It was a beautiful feeling. So thank you to all the readers all over who are buying my book, especially in America. 90% of my readers are in America.
Mm-hmm.
And funny enough, I've never even been to America. So it means a lot. It means a lot to me.
What inspires you to write?
I love writing as a whole. I've always written. Even when I was working, now I don't work full time anymore. But when I was working, I always scribble. I've always written. So I didn't think I was going to write a book. That's the truth. But I was at work one day in 2010. And then I said to a colleague of mine that, oh, I would love to get published. And the truth is, the thought just occurred to me at that point in time. And she said, so what's stopping you?
Mm-hmm.
So I said, nothing. So she put a notepad in my hand and a pen. And I used to commute a lot. I used to commute 4 hours a day. So she said, just write anything that, occurs to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. So a couple of days later on the train, I saw a book. And I looked at it. I just looked at it. And then it said that the author was self-published. And I thought, wow, okay. So I went to the internet and started looking for the meaning of self-published,
Mm-hmm.
and all that. And I did all the digging I could about CreateSpace and Lulu. And eventually I settled for CreateSpace. So, and I know I love two things I love is writing and romance. So I now decided, you know what, let me write. I've read a lot of white, stories. And when I was growing up, I said, let me write the kind of novels I would love to read now with some strong female characters,
Yes.
feisty,
Mm-hmm.
strong, independent,
Mm-hmm.
with culture, woven into it. Because,
Mm-hmm.
we come from a background of, African American, and all that. So I wanted to put in our food, our culture, and our family values and things like that. So depending on the character, and Christian values as well. So whatever the character has, it will bring everything. So I started to write those kind of books because I got a bit tired of reading romance novels showing the heroine as someone who is always weak, and always looking for who to rescue her and everything.
Yes.
Or she's poor and so poor, and then she sees this rich guy, and I thought, come on, I'm not like that. No. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up working hard and everything. So if you see a lot of my books, the women are always like, sometimes a lot of time professionals, So emotionally, they might not be strong, but when it comes to they don't need to depend on a man for everything, So that's it. So that inspires me to write. I love to write, and I love romance. So, and I just pray about it every time I have to write a story, and it just flows. So.
You have some very, very beautiful covers, book covers.
Yes.
Can you talk
Yes.
about that? Are those like graphic? Or those are real people?
Oh, they're real people. All of them now, they're real people. Yeah. Real. What do you mean real people? As in, I don't know them.
No, like, is it a picture or is it graphics with somebody?
Oh no, they're all pictures, all of them. So what I do is I take the pictures and I go onto canva.com and I just play around with it. So it took me a long time to get to that stage where I could do it myself. In the past, I've had to use like creative people to do it. But I learned it online. I learned how to use all the features on Canva. And in my last 10 books or so, I've done all the covers myself, by God's grace. So I just experiment. I just click this, click that, until I'm happy. And then my family, I use them as the opinion pool. So I say, which one do you want? So I do like 3, 4, and they start choosing. So we have a group, WhatsApp group, and then we choose, oh, Mama, I like this one. No, I don't want that one. Why don't you do it like this? So that's it. So we just do a lot of experimentation. And it just happens that readers love them. But I'm so happy because I used to have to pay to make covers, but now I just pay for the picture and that's it.
Oh, okay. How do you feel about reviews?
And I think reviews are great actually because whether they're positive or negative, what I read what the person says and I read between the lines. So there are reviews that help you as an author. I remember the first negative review I got on one of my books from ages ago. It said, go and get an editor. It was the best review that that person left for me, because I started to look for an editor. Then I didn't have an editor, right? So, and then God brought me one from America, a white woman. She bought my book, she read it, and then she said, and she contacted me via email, and she said, oh, I read this book, but I see a lot of errors. And then I had even gotten an editor. That's the funniest thing. I paid for an editor to do the job. And she said, oh, I see errors. I said, oh, and I even got an editor. She said, okay, maybe the person is not, 100%. That no problem. I can read for you. You read for me, I read for you, right? And that's it, so that I don't have to pay her. So she was good grammatically and everything.
Wow.
So, and that was, so she was my editor for 6 years. So I learned everything I know now from her, because it's hard for an author to have everything. I'm not strong on grammar. I'll just be honest with you. But she was fabulous. So she brings me her book to read, because I'm good on, the emotional side of things, the deep connection between the characters, banter. I'm good with that. And she was fabulous on grammar. So we swapped notes. So she'll leave review notes for me and all that, and that will help me, and I'll use that to edit my book. She'll read it 2-3 times, and I'll do the same for her. So she did it like that for like 6 years. So she has trained me. She's God sent, a blessing. So now I've grown as an author. So that review helped me to go fishing for more. Yes. So review helps an author to grow, but you have to read each review, and you have to have thick skin as an author, because there's some reviews that are not helpful. Let me put it like that. They are not helpful. So you can't take that to heart, because if you say you don't like a book, you have to tell me why you don't like a book. Just telling me, oh no, rubbish, or this is nonsense or something, that's not helpful. So I'm not going to bother with a review like that. But I will thank you for buying it, right? And for reading it. That's the best I can do. But if it's something that is useful, it says, oh, maybe the pacing was slow or something that I can work with, then I can look at it and say, okay, that's an objective one. I can take that on board. So reviews are fabulous. That's why I love to read reviews, but they don't come enough. I think a lot of people, like for example, this book, Hooked, it sold over 1,000 copies in like 3 months. But if you go on Amazon, you will not see more than, 3 reviews. So, but funny enough, sometimes readers come to me on Facebook Messenger and they send me messages and they tell me, oh, they enjoy the book and everything. Then I'll say, oh, could you please leave a review? Then they will go and leave a review. So what I realize now is that if you don't have reviews, it doesn't necessarily mean that people don't enjoy your book. It's just that they move on to the next book. They've read that, they've enjoyed it, and now they've moved on without actually thinking that, oh, let me leave a line or two for the author. So it took me a number of years to get to that point, to know that, oh, okay, it's not like you're bad as an author. It's just that people have a lot going on in their lives and they just don't stop to think to say, okay, let me write a review. But I love reviews.
All right. What has been the hardest thing about writing a book?
Editing. I find editing very tedious. I love to just write. So just write and write and write. But so it's a necessary evil. So without it, you have a garden full of weeds. That's the way I say it, without editing. So with editing, so it's like weeding a garden. It's tedious, it's terrible, but by the time you're done, your garden is all looking fresh and bright and free and nice, and then healthy. So I find editing very, very tedious. So I make out time good time to do it, weeks. So I do it once and then I do it twice and, read it again, use different eyes, and all that. So that, I think for me, that's the hardest part. But I'm beginning to find how to enjoy it by taking it piecemeal. So like, chapter, if I edit a chapter, I'll celebrate, I'll stop and I'll watch like one of my favorite TV series before I go back and do chapter 2, so that it's not so tedious or it's not so much like labor. I want to be able to enjoy it since it's an important part of publishing.
What made you become an author?
What made me become? I love to write and I love romance and I wanted to write the kind of books I really wanted to see on the shelves, the kind of books I wanted to read. I wanted to feature Black women. That's why I really started to write. I wanted to see people like myself, write stories about people like myself, write stories about my culture that hadn't, seen any exposure at all. So that's what made me start to write. And also to raise awareness about deeper issues, Every book I write always has one thing or the other. So deeper issues about Christian values. I want people to see that, human beings are like three-dimensional or multi-dimensional. So it's not just one way. It's not all about the sex. It's not all about the romance. You also have people who have, faith. So if a character has faith, that comes through in my book. And also to see characters grow, just like us, grow from starting at point A to point maybe Z with the help of someone else. So that's why I started to write.
What is your testimony?
What is my testimony?
Yes.
Okay. Before I knew Christ, I lived a life of, should I say, life of passion. And so I really had a nice time, university and all that. And then I finished and then I knew Christ. And then I realized, oh my days, there's a different world out here. And I thought, you know what? I've got to write about it. I need people to hear it. I don't want people to think being a Christian means you have to be boring. Being a Christian means only certain people that God loves, you have to have abided with certain rules before God can love you. Because God loved me, even though I wasn't it at all, even though I shouldn't have even loved myself, So I've gone through a lot of deep experiences and, negative things. And I thought, you know what, I want to write about characters like that, who have a lot of baggage, who've been in dark places, who need the light of God to shine in their lives, just like mine. They need to know that God loves them no matter what they've been through, and He's there for them. So that's my testimony, and that's the testimony my characters take on. So every story I write, there's a bit of me in it. There is a bit of my experiences in them, just, So that aspect, that personality or that side or that dark side of that character comes to life. And then she grows or he grows with the help of somebody else and all that. And it's a journey. So the characters are on a journey, just like I was in a journey. So at the end of the day, they have a testimony, just like I did. So my characters are like a parallel of my life, one way or another. So, that's my testimony. It shines in all the books I write, one way or another.
What projects are you working on right now?
I have a project for early next year, by God's grace. That will be my first book. I have 2 projects One, I wrote it a couple of years ago, but I'll have to bring it back. I just wrote it. I haven't edited it or anything. That's one. Then the second one, I've started writing the story, and I really don't know how it's going to end for now. I've titled the Dating Contract. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But for now, I'm going to take a break because I've worked so hard this year. I've released 6 books this year by God's grace. So
yes.
The Christmas Story was the last one for this year.
Oh, okay. How can readers get in touch with you?
Oh, through various ways. On Amazon, they can just click follow. I have an Amazon author page. Just type in Stella Eromonsere Ajanaku and they can click follow. So they have all my books there. And if I have new releases, Amazon will inform them. Or on Smashwords as well. I have an author page on Smashwords. They can also go through D2D. So D2D, digital to digital. Or they can also go on Facebook. On Facebook, my book page is Flirty and Feisty Romance Novels. So and they can click like, so they can see anything I'm doing, promos, new releases and all that. I also have a blog, Flirty and Feisty Romance blog. So if they just type in Flirty and Feisty Romance on Google or any of the search engines, it will come up. So they can follow me on there as well. I talk about topical issues on relationships, anything relationships, and anything on brides and about writing. I also have a corner for writing tips, the things I've learned, how to write a blog, for example, things like that. So I share that as well on my blog. So if they want to stay in touch, they can use those means. I'm also on Goodreads, as Stella Eromonsere Ajanaku as well, on Goodreads. So they can see all my books there. They can interact with me. And they can interact with me on Facebook Messenger. I also have my email in all my books. So if they buy my books, they want to send me an email, I'm open to it.
Okay. Is there anything you would like to add before we end?
Yes, I would like to say thank you so much, my wonderful readers across the world, for buying my books. There's some people who just won't click my books, and I don't even know them. So I just want to say thank you so much. Without you, I wouldn't even be writing, I guess. So thank God. I always thank God for each of you, for every sale. Every sale is important to me because it means somebody out there wants to try my book and believes they will get value from it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you for those who have left reviews for all of my books. I'm grateful, very, very grateful. God bless you all.
All right. I would like to thank you for coming in today. Well, I know it's night over there, it's still day over here, but
I know.
for coming in today and for your time and your craft.
Thank you so much, Queenie. This has been wonderful. This is the first time I've done this, and I'm so grateful for the opportunity, Queenie. I'm very, very
welcome.
Grateful.
You are so welcome.
I look forward to listening.
All right.
And watching. Thank you so much for what you do for the literary community. We appreciate you. God bless you, Queenie.
Thank you. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, Queenie.